Looking for ways that Uncle Sam can fix this housing mess, but someone here says, well, the best fix is just to let home prices tank. Joining us now, the always optimistic Peter Schiff, the president of Euro-Pacific Capital and the author of Crash Proof. Okay, Peter, you've been very prescient on a lot of the things that have been playing out in this market. You say we got to just let these home values plummet. Why?
Well, of course, remember, we're in this mess because of the inflated home prices, which led people to overpay for homes, borrow more money than their homes were worth. It's the reason that we had all these teaser rates and ARMs, because people were overpaying for houses and they needed creative ways to afford these payments. But if you look at the glut of unsold whole houses on the market, if you look at foreclosure recovery rates right now of only 50 cents on the dollar, nobody's going to lend into this market. Nobody can afford to buy at these prices. They have to plunge. But unfortunately, that's going to bring in a whole new set of problems, because now we're going to have bigger losses for the lenders, more people walking away, and of course, when American homeowners come to the realization that all their home equity is gone, they're going to have to cut back on their spending.
Peter, look, for several years on this show, I've been saying we need a 20 to 30% correction nationally and 50% in hot markets. We're in a real estate bubble, but that doesn't mean that should happen in a year. If that happens fast, the way Peter's talking about, you're going to have, the stock market plummet 5,000 points. You're going to have a huge depression. It has to happen slow. It's going to have to happen, but there's a difference between falling 5% a year for 4 years and just plummeting in 6 months, which could happen if you have massive foreclosures.
One is Japan and one is 1932. No, but neither one is really good. But Julia, let me get you in here. I mean, the lawmakers don't seem to have a fix for this problem. And Ben Bernanke this week came out with the idea of telling banks to just cut the principal of their loans. It seems outrageous.
Well, one of the things that a lot of the lawmakers are talking about is a 90-day moratorium on foreclosures, which it is not a long-term fix. What this does is it could allow people the time, be it 3 months or 5 months, to get out of these mortgages that they shouldn't have been in the first place and get into something they can afford.
Honestly, Julia, you got me paying for now your mortgage and your tax here. I mean, is there anything else you want me to cover? It's only a 30-minute show.
Hey, you're paying it for your mother and your sister, too, so...
Yeah, well, I don't think we're related, I mean... The role of government, Terry, that's what it gets back to here. The role of government is not to pay people's mortgage. It's not to let them out of bad deals they've made. And a free market means free from the government, not from the consequences of your own decisions. Schiff is absolutely right on this. The market needs to correct. The more the government does to stand in the way, the longer the process takes.
Wayne,
Jonathan, I think you're being a bit extreme on this.
Wait, Julia, let me bring Wayne in here. He's been our resident real estate guru. Wayne, you've been dead on in this market. Where are we headed?
We're headed further south, and it's probably a good thing. Yes, you've got to do this. The biggest fallout of this is not so much that some poor person is losing their house. That'll work out. Banks do not want to foreclose. People do not want to foreclose. That is a drastic measure, because then they got to write off the loan or write the loan down. They're going to have to do this anyway in some form or fashion. The best thing to do, as you said, is for the borrower and the lender to get together. But now that we have all of these derivatives and the loans have been sold, the borrower and the lender no longer know each other. They don't know where the loan is. And that is one of the problems. And that's the way to fix this, is to put them back together.
A lot of the homeowners, though, want to walk away from these homes. They're underwater. They're liabilities. They're not assets. That's the problem. There's no incentive for people to stay in these bad bets. People bought houses because they thought they were going to get rich. They did it without putting any of their own money in. And now that the bets have gone south, they're willing to walk away.
Peter, let me stop you. Wait just a second. Wait just a second. You're talking about speculators.
No,
I'm talking about people who actually live in the house.
A lot of people,
you're talking about a speculator. That's a different thing.
Wayne, a lot of renters.
Shut up just a second and listen, Peter.
I heard you. A lot of people who own houses were renters, and they bought because a realtor told them they were going to build equity. They bought because they thought the house was going to appreciate. They were happy being renters.
Okay,
they're speculating.
Julia, I think they both have a point. Some people are walking away from their homes. That used to be the most embarrassing thing that you could do. There doesn't seem to be any sort of embarrassment about walking away from your home anymore.
Well, I think there still is, and what we're talking about are people who are going to end up, you know, Jonathan, you're going to end up paying for these people anyway because they're going to have to go into public housing. They're going to have to be, you know, subsidized somehow by the government. So what Wayne is saying is actually correct, and I fully support it because it is not good for banks to foreclose. It is better for them to get together and allow someone the time to get out from under something that they can't afford in the first place.
Okay, score one for Trapper. Thanks, everybody. Coming up next, safe haven stocks in this stormy stock